I want to start by saying a very important caveat, because everything we do here is trauma-informed. If you are here today or you are online, I was dancing, sorry. And joy is hard for you because you are in a depression. I invite you to listen to this talk through a different lens and be gentle with yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? So I always want to present for you an offering that you can take as you are comfortable doing so and in the time that works for you. I also want to say a big thank you to Shelley Walker for her beautiful talk yesterday. Michael Walker, will you tell your lovely bride that she is adored here? We love her very, very much. Thank you. Hi, Shelley. Love you, honey. So, speaking of joy, I was in the nail salon this week. I love myself a good manicure. For me, that's part of my self-care. It just is. It just is. Because the place that I go to is in my neighborhood, and it's very zen, you know? And I go in there, and the music is quiet, and it's just a lovely vibe. My nail technician, Marilyn, is wonderful. She totally gets me, because there are days I go in there, and I really just want to be quiet and chill. And then there are days I go in there, and we're just kind of quietly talking to each other, not to disturb anyone around us. So I was just in there the other day, enjoying the zen, and there was a woman across the way who, it was obvious that she had taken a phone call on her Bluetooth, and so she wasn't quite aware the volume she was bringing into the space. And have you ever been in a place, and maybe it's you, look, it's just us, right? But you're in a grocery store and someone's talking on the phone and you realize they have forgotten they're in public and they are saying things they probably wouldn't if they had known or remembered they were in public. This was a little like that. At one point, this lovely gal, I'm sure she was lovely, got up and just walked across the whole salon to wash her hands, just talking away, saying things. Oh, So I'm sitting there realizing that she has truly pierced the peace in the place. And I realize in that moment, as irritation bubbles up in me, that I have a talk this Sunday about joy. And so I was delightfully reminded by Spirit that I had a choice. I could either be irritated that she has pierced the peace in my place, or I could find the funny. I could find the humor. I could look for the joy. And in that next nanosecond, I just imagined a Saturday Night Live skit. Can you imagine what they would do? That would be the funniest thing. And I started giggling at like all the potential, shenanigans they would be doing in a nail salon. And then I realized I was laughing out loud. And Marilyn looked at me and she was kind of like, and so I very quietly told her, wouldn't this make the funniest Saturday Night Live skit? And she starts laughing. The whole thing shifted. The whole idea of finding the funny in that moment completely shifted the irritation that had been bubbling up. And, laughter is incredible at healing that which hurts us. The wonderful comedian Trevor Noah said, one of my favorites, said, laughter is one of the few emotions that robs your pain of its power. Right? Laughter is one of the few emotions that robs your pain of its power. What an opportunity we have to remember that in the days we are living in right now, my friends. The recipient of 14 Emmy Awards, a Critics' Choice Television Award, 2 Billboard Music Awards, a Tony Award, and 3 GLAAD Media Awards, the one and only RuPaul has been dubbed the Queen of Drag, with Fortune magazine saying he is easily the world's most famous drag queen. In 2017, RuPaul was included in the annual Time 100 list of the most influential people in the world. In his masterclass, which is great, by the way, RuPaul said, "With all the darkness that is going on in the world, you can look at the darkness, but don't stare. It will make you crazy. It will make you cross-eyed. It will make you what it is. The solution is to create magic. Dance, sing, love, create environments where you can find joy, because you can create joy. You can create joy." Right now, hearing all the stories coming out of Washington, D.C., around the world, and all the places, we seem to be really flooded by stories that, if we are not mindful, can leave us feeling powerless. But claiming joy is a courageous, active, empowering spiritual tool. My talk today is called Joy as an Act of Courage. As spiritual activists, which is just a fancy term for those of us who are awake and want to help others, in order to be as effective as we can, in order to move through these next few years in the healthiest way possible, we are being called to absolutely master the art of consciously taking time each day to shift our focus wherever we can to the good, to the humor, to the joy that is happening in our world. And allow that good, that humor, and that joy to be our respite and our fuel. Ultimately, choosing joy wherever you can, even in a nail salon, will serve and support and buoy you during these times. The Hindu philosopher Rabindranath Tagore wrote, "Joy is the realization of the truth of oneness, the oneness of our soul with the supreme love." Joy is the realization of the truth of oneness, the oneness of our soul with the supreme love. You know, in that moment in the nail salon, and I want to be really clear, Marilyn and I were in no way laughing at that woman. We've all been that person, right? We've all forgotten. That's never okay. But in that moment when Marilyn and I were laughing at the situation, giggling at the situation, the humanity of it all, we experienced oneness. We experienced divine love. That's what laughter brings us. When we consciously create space in our day to feel joy, and it's a conscious choice to stand up and sing or to see the good, we are allowing ourselves in that moment to feel God or spirit or whatever word you are comfortable with. When we allow ourselves to feel joy, we are allowing ourselves to feel connection with the divine. And it's important to note that this kind of joy doesn't have to be big joy. It doesn't have to be birthday, wedding, winning the lottery joy. It doesn't have to be that kind of joy. Those are wonderful, those are great. But in reality, the day-to-day living, it's the small joys that fuel our souls on a daily basis if we let it in. As Barb read so beautifully earlier, the Donna Ashworth poem, when you finally realize joy is less fireworks, more firefly, less orchestra, more bird song, she will come back much more often. There is so much truth in that. We humans experience everyday kindness from each other all the time. And this everyday kindness can be transformed into active joy if we acknowledge it in the moment. I want to connect the dots between everyday kindnesses we exchange with each other and active joy. The sweetheart on the other end of the phone who sorts out the cable issue, the dear heart at Trader Joe's who offers to go in the back to check and see if they have your favorite bag of salad mix, that dear, dear human who comes out in the pouring rain and pumps your gas and cleans the car window. Before turning the radio or TV back on, before just pushing your cart along, or before just hanging up and moving on with the rest of your day, I invite you to really, really take these kindnesses in and allow them, even if they're a small courtesy, to bring you actual joy. This is a spiritual practice of making the seeming mundane holy and healing. Do you see the connection? Taking the little, when someone holds the door open for you. We're so conditioned in this day and age. Thank you, and on we go. What if someone holds the door open for you and you say, thank you, and you really allow that kindness to buoy you up? That is what I'm talking about. We can do this. In Buddhism, joy is considered an essential aspect of the path to enlightenment. Isn't that beautiful? Joy is part of the equation. Joy is considered an essential aspect of the path to enlightenment. When you consider the thousands of years of wars and challenge and famine and difficulty that the Buddhists had to go through, and despite all of that, joy was part of their path to enlightenment. They have much to teach us. Whether it's a firefly or a kind customer representative, the path to enlightenment, as the Buddhists call it, requires that we be in relationship to the world. Because when we are in relationship, conscious relationship to the world, we can experience joy through each other and through the natural world. Joy is communal. I'm going to say that one more time. Joy is communal. In New Thought, we are committed to recognizing our oneness. We envision a world that works for everyone in all creation. We say that every single week. We do not say, recognizing our oneness, I envision a world that works for me. No, that is not this place. That's not our teaching. In this place, in the New Thought Center for Spiritual Living, in our community, our common unity, as our beloved Rev Noel used to say, it's our community, our common unity, that is going to support and sustain and uplift us in joy as we move through the next years. And you know, science has proven this. It's proven that in the difficult things that we face in life are deemed easier or easier to deal with when we are with our people. There was this really cool study in PubMed. It was published in 2012. A group of scientific researchers got a bunch of people together, and half of the people joined the study with either a friend or a couple of friends. And the other half of that group were solo. They didn't know anyone in the group. And they brought the entire group to the foot of a steep hill. And they discovered that the people who were there with their friend or their friends, when asked how steep the hill was, they estimated that it was not as steep as it actually was. And the people who were there alone responded to the same question, saying it was actually more steep than it was, leading these scientific researchers to hypothesize that when you are with your friends, your people, your loved ones, a perceived hill is easier to climb than when you are alone. Science has brought us this. This is why we must, in community, support one another. And I want to just say a side note here. Look, if this is your first time joining or your first time online, you're checking us out, but you're not sure, that's totally fine. Just find your people. Find your community. Or if you are here, I invite you to step in an even greater way. And this is going to support everyone and all of us moving through this. And the way to find your community, now we all here, we have our common unity. We're here because we are dedicated to our relationship with the divine, to spiritual community, to being in spiritual community. This is our jam, right? This feels good. And for those of you for whom you may be lukewarm, I love you. It's totally fine. Just find your people. And you can do it by thinking about what it is you have an affinity for. What is something you love? Find a group of people that love the same thing. Or if you are moving through a challenge, an illness, a difficulty, an addiction, whatever that may be, find those people. Just find your community, especially now. None of us is meant to do this alone. None of us. Find your people. This will help you heal and bring more joy and therefore more balance. So this morning, I have to think about this. It's okay to say this here. I asked Alexa, okay, we're fine. I was like, do we have an Alexa in the building? I don't think so. I think we're fine. Okay, so this morning I asked Alexa, what is the temperature going to be today? And she told me what the temperature was going to be. And then she said, much to my delight, that today is National Almond Day. So, Shannon, if you're feeling a little nutty, ask me a joke. What? So I said, thanks, Alexa. Tell me a religious joke. She responded very quickly, I do not have any of those. Ask Alexa for a joke. It's hilarious. I couldn't believe that happened this morning because I was planning to share with you that when I was a student in this teaching, when I first found the New Thought teaching, I was so blown away by it. And I took it very, very, very seriously. Like, there were times I'd be sitting in class like this, and I would literally have a teacher say, "Are you okay?" I'd be like, "Oh, yes, I'm fine. I'm just thinking it's very serious." So as I proceeded on in classes, especially in ministerial school and seminary, I had some of the most incredible teachers and mentors that live in my heart. And one of them is Dr. Mark Vieira. And one of the days in class, he said, if you're taking this teaching too seriously, you are missing the point. If you're taking this teaching too seriously, you're missing the point. And in time, I learned that the point of our teaching here in New Thought is not this. It's to feel the joy. It's to be liberated. It's to feel the freedom from things like authoritarian-esque religion. Practicing New Thought liberates us from the old-timey, dogmatic, can be scary, taking itself way too seriously religiosity that we are currently seeing on the religious right. The banning of books that challenge thinking. The suppression of people who look or speak or love differently from them. The government-mandated pregnancies designed to try to keep women and girls away from power. Sadly, they are missing the point. God is joy, not oppression. Spirit is free, not afraid of others who may seem different. Source energy is inclusive, not damning of the most vulnerable. Love itself accepts everyone as they are, not as they think they should be. This is our God, our spirit, our source, our love. And, the thing is, humor can be its own revolutionary act in the face of the unfathomable. It helps us to make sense of the world right now when all those things are happening. It helps us when everything feels upside down. Humor is a refusal to go away quietly. Humor is self-care for the fight ahead. And why do I know this? Because God has a great sense of humor. Have you seen the platypus? The blowfish? The kangaroo? We're meant to enjoy this life. We're meant to enjoy all of our differences and all that makes up who we are and how we are, learning from it with delighted joy and joyous anticipation. Activist and author Adrienne Maree Brown said, "Laughter is important. Joy is important. It's not a guilty pleasure. It's a strategic move towards the future we all need to create, one in which our children are laughing, our children are free." Laughter is important, joy is important. It's not a guilty pleasure. It is a strategic move towards the future we all need to create, one in which our children are laughing, our children are free. So, what can you do to bring more joy into your life? Watch a comedy, call a funny friend, look for the funny, even if it's in a nail salon, wherever you are. Look for the funny. There was a viral video. I don't know if anybody here has seen it. I was cracking up. It's a group of women of, shall we say, a certain age, who are, I don't know what country, I don't know what it is, because it was, they're all, what is it, the subtitles? It's Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. And they are on this street and they are singing it at the top of their lungs. They are dancing. It is so fun and so funny. And the best thing are the people that are walking by. They're just like, they're stopped, like, that's really weird. And then they stop and go, oh, and then they're like, okay. Joy is contagious. Joy is contagious. So what can you do to bring more joy into your life? This week, I invite you to pay attention to the fireflies and the bird song and the small joys in your daily life. The second thing, notice the everyday kindnesses from those around you and give yourself permission to elevate those moments, however brief, as joy in your life. Don't just say thank you and walk on or turn the radio back on. Stop. Remember, joy is an essential aspect on the path of enlightenment, and joy is communal. And finally, if you haven't already, find your people or get more involved. Here, if you are here today in the sanctuary, we have a Blessings in the Backpack event following service. We are helping to feed the kiddos at Whitman Elementary School. They have a 96% food insecure rate there, and it's even worse now. So you could stay for a half hour and help. We just pack lunches and write little love notes, and the teachers very quietly put those lunches in the backpacks so the kids have food on the weekends. There's ways that you can get involved. We had a fantastic immigrant protection, spirit-led social action meeting last week. I just loved it. And today, after the backpack event, following that, at 12:30, you can go right over into the Learning Center and you can join Jen Moore and myself. We're going to be having the diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility meeting. See what you may be called to do. That's also in line online and in person. So find where you can get involved in your community in whatever small way or big way you possibly can. This will bring balance and empowerment and more love to these days that we have found ourselves in. We can do this, and we can do this with joy.